In exercise, there's different ways to create surface perturbation. One of the technique is called bump mapping. The process of bump mapping is quite simple in a sense. It's going to take the actual surface normal over the surface and actually bend the normal such that the surface shading will be altered and will look some sort of bumpy. This involves it's quite inexpensive because it will not redefine or not break up the surface into finer triangles, but rather just simply use the actual surface normal at intersection point and then bend the normal to create a shading difference or shading a different shading result. Now, when it comes to displaced surfaces, the actual vertices are being moved into the object space. So, for example, if the height map, let's say, height map is basically a given height value per pixel, and in fact in this case it's per vertex, will actually displace the surface either positive or either even negative values. So in this case, these vertices are being pushed away using the height map, and that will create a new surface. Obviously, as you create a new surface, this area can be in shadow because it's really a new surface, a new geometry being created at render time. It is also possible that displacement map creates negative displacement, where instead of pushing outwards using the surface normal, it will push it inward. So that will create some sort of surface that basically goes in and out of the actual original surface. So the height map again is can be provided. As you may know, the textures being used for displacement map always range from 0 to 1. So there's some math operation that is needed to create this negative displacement map here, and I'll be showing in the next session how to achieve this using XSI. Now let's go here. I've created three models or geometry describing exactly what is each of these techniques. So on the left, on the most left, you have basically a texture being put on the grid without any displacement map or bump mapping. So it's rather flat. It doesn't pick up light as it should be. The one in the middle is actually achieved using bump mapping, so you could get a sense of surface details without actually breaking up the surface into finer triangles. So these are actually bump being created at the shading level. Now the one at the most right is actually displacement map. So as you can see, because the displacement map create a new geometry, this will allow to compute proper shadowing. So as you can see here now, we're starting to pick up the actual shadows of the displaced surface. So if we orbit around, for example, and start to zoom in slightly, we'll start to see some of the actual details that is available on the surface. So it really pushed the actual surface outwards, and obviously these geometries will be computed to cast shadows and other rendering features in the scene. So this is a quick overview of displacement map. I invite you to watch the other session that will go in details how to achieve really interesting and great displacement map with while still controlling the rendering speed. Thank you.